There have been so many Hot Wheels games over the years, but there have been even more Hot Wheels Flash games. Obviously now these are long since forgotten, but today I wanted to take a look at just some of the Hot Wheels Flash games and see how they hold up in today's standards. So without further ado, let's start playing some Hot Wheels Flash games. So this is Drive-Through Dilemma. This is of course from the official Hot Wheels site, and the basic premise is you run a drive-through and you guide drivers to the correct shops. You've got new tyres, fuel station, a food place, a paint place, a place for music, so on and so forth. This, for some odd reason, was my absolute favourite when I was a kid. I played this for ages, and it does take a while to get all the upgrades. You'd have to be playing for a good half hour, 40 minutes, which for a one-off Hot Wheels website Flash game is actually quite a lot of time. So the basic plan is to just get money each day, upgrade your shops, open all your shops, and then finish up when everything is fully upgraded. It's a surprisingly addictive, very light strategy management game, and it was a lot of fun. I still think this game holds up today. I'd still play this. In fact, I did still play it for this video, and I played it for like 40 minutes, and it was a very, very fun 40 minutes. So next up we have Hot Wheels Grand Prix featuring Gorilla Attack. What a great name. Anyway, this is a very, very simple top-down racer, which I think is from 2005 and was basically made to advertise the Gorilla Attack playset. It's kind of cool, but the AI racers are kind of annoying, they crash into you, and you take a lot of damage quite quickly. Obviously you have to avoid the gorilla smashing his fists down, that's not too difficult. And low-key, the gorilla is kind of charming. I just love his early 2000s animation aesthetic. It's very cool. The actual handling is fine. Of course, you drive with the arrow keys. I'm not the biggest fan of top-down racers because I've never been very good at them. But it functions, and it's kind of fun. It was fun for a few minutes, which at the end of the day is kind of the purpose of most of these Flash games. Okay, so next up we have Hot Wheels Ballistics Blastoff. This is a kind of cool little mini game where you launch your ballistic up into the sky to collect things and score points and get a high score. Now the ballistics were a short-lived Hot Wheels range that kind of remind me of Bakugan, except instead of becoming monsters they became cars. Supposedly the point of them being balls was to make it easier for storage, but I mean they're just tiny toy cars anyway, so I don't really understand. Anyway, I kind of think it's cool, but a lot of people must have not thought that because it got discontinued like a year after it released. Anyway, this game released some point around 2012 alongside this toy line, and has a very simple art style and very simple controls. To launch you press the spacebar, and the better timing you have, the further you're going to go. And when you're in the air, you get a little boost, so if you just press an arrow key, you get that boost to try and collect some more collectibles in the sky. It's a very simple game, it looks nice enough, it's advertising a toy that basically no one wanted, so I'm not really going to rate this one too highly. Alright, so next up we have a real f***ing classic. This is Hot Wheels Beast Bash Beware. This released in 2008, and already this has just got the biggest nostalgic vibe and look to it. Oh my god, man. So you can either play as the cars taking down the beast, or the beast trying to stop the cars. There's a nice little selection of 5 cars, including Rogue Hog and Track T, which is pretty cool. And the objective of the cars is to take down the beast by driving past him, smashing his fists, and then getting launched at his chest. And for the beast, you have to smash the cars. And to be honest, both get surprisingly difficult the longer you play for. The objective of the cars is obviously to take him down, and you can hit him loads and loads of times, and each time you go back around, his attack movements get more and more manic and more unpredictable. And the same thing goes for the Beast. I thought playing as the Beast would just continue to be incredibly easy, But later on into the game, the cars were pretty consistently faking me out, and maybe it's just a skill issue from me, but the game definitely does get hard. It's got some pretty funky animations, the soundtrack's kind of iconic sounding, and overall, I just love how it looks. This was such a cool era of Hot Wheels, love it. This is like a top tier Hot Wheels Flash game for me.
You got me!
Okay, so next up we're going back to the early days. According to Moby Games, this one is from 2003. This is Hot Wheels Crash Zilla Crusher. The product is advertising, supposedly launched around the same time, so the launch date makes sense. The objective is to reach Crush Zilla with your revs in the red zone, and there are obstacles in your way to slow you down. You can change lanes to try and dodge those obstacles, but it gets quite hard when you're trying to maintain a decent speed. Annoyingly, you can't hold the acceleration and change lane, which does feel a bit odd, but overall, I really like the visual style here. It's very charming, it's very cartoony, it's old school, because it is kind of old school. It's simple, but it's charming. It's very short though, because you literally have the one level that you speed down towards Crush Zilla, and then you either win if you're in the red, or you lose. And it's just the same obstacles in the same place every time, there's no alternations, it's just the same thing. So unless you want to try and hit less obstacles, then really there's no need to play this after like 1 or 2 playthroughs. The soundtrack's very classic 2000s, the sound effects are very over the top, it's pretty much everything you'd expect from an early Hot Wheels Flash game. If you played this, then drop a comment down below. I have a great deal of respect for you. Now before we go any further, if you're a fan of retro gaming, racing games, or even Hot Wheels, then why not consider hitting that subscribe button and tapping the bell for notifications. And if you haven't done so already, please consider hitting that like button as well. Anyway, let's talk about our next game, and that game is called Dummy Dash. In the early 2000s, Hot Wheels launched a range of crash test dummy action figures and appropriately sized cars. And of course, to advertise those figures, along came, well, a Frogger ripoff. You just have to get your dummy from one side to the other without it getting run over, hit by someone, hit by something, and collect as many pickups and animals for some reason as you can. To be fair, there's a bit more to this game than some of the others we've looked at, as there are 3 different difficulties with 3 or 4 different levels each. Well, the 3 difficulties have the same level designs, but obviously things are just more difficult, faster, and unpredictable. But still, I see that as quite a lot of different levels under different difficulties. Now these figures are from about 2003, which is when I'd estimate this game would have come out as well, so this is another proper old school Flash game. I'm not sure if it was just an error or if it never had any sounds to begin with, but unfortunately I had no sound effects or music when I played this game, so I can't really share my thoughts on those. But visually, it looks alright. The final level of all 3 difficulties involves you shooting your crash test dummy through a window back into his house. That was kind of cool, a nice little switch up at the end. But otherwise, I don't really have anything else to say about this game, except it's pretty cool. Okay, so next up we have Hot Wheels Arcade, and for some ungodly reason, this was one of my favourites when I was a kid. I guess I had absolutely zero sense of quality or quality control, so anyway, without further ado, let's get into it. Hot Wheels Arcade consists of 5 different minigames inspired by the games of old, and not really any of them are any good in hindsight. Anyway, our first game sees you playing as the Batmobile, and you've just got to shoot green cars off the road when the game actually decides it wants to give you a pickup. So you can get missiles and you press spacebar to fire them, but you can also pick up spikes that go in your wheels to take out other vehicles. The problem is the game doesn't really tell you how long those spikes last for, so I destroyed one single car with them, went to swerve into another vehicle, lost the spikes, and immediately died. I don't know, man, it's fine, it's harmless really. I think this is the one I played the most when I was a kid anyway, don't know why. So next up we have Excite Bike except Hot Wheels. This is probably the best of the 5, to be honest with you. There appears to be quite a lot of levels. I played through 9 before I got bored because it's literally just the same thing over and over again, but at least there are more than 2 or 3 levels. So you just have to get to the end of the level before the target time, and as you progress that target time decreases, so the levels technically get harder, even though they don't really change in layout or difficulty. It's just kind of RNG depending on where you land. There's jumps, there's boosts, it's hard to tell what's coming up, but it's kind of fun, so I'll give it that. Whilst most of the games in this Hot Wheels arcade game collection don't look very good, I will say the retro-inspired visuals for this one in particular are actually alright. They're probably the closest things to actually feeling like an arcade game versus everything else here in this compilation. So next up, this is just Brick Breaker, isn't it? It's just Brick Breaker. There's not really anything I can say about this. There's wonky physics on the tyre that bounces up and down. Occasionally the cars will drop tyres which you can then fire at the cars. Which, now I've said that sentence aloud, it just sounds really odd. But yeah, this is dead ass just Brick Breaker. It goes on and on. Eventually you'll just give up through sheer boredom. And that's exactly what I did. But I suppose you can't really go wrong with a bit of Brick Breaker as long as the physics actually work. Okay, so next up, it's Pac-Man. Except for some reason, the car eats the fucking road markings. What? There's a lot wrong with this one, to be honest with you. You know in Pac-Man where you go off the side of the level, you come back onto it on the other side? Well, they've designed the stages to look like they do that, except you just can't. You just hit a dead end, so that's really great. The CPU, I don't know what they're doing, to be honest with you. They have no idea what they're doing. When you pick up a power pellet to be able to eat the other cars, I guess, you have no idea how long it's going to last because there's no power-up music or anything. There's been a couple of times I was caught out because the power-up ended just as I'd caught up to another car, and bam, I died. There's a few levels in this, but after you've played about 3 or 4 of them, the map designs start to repeat, so it's not that exciting. And next up, yep, it's Space Invaders. Hot Wheels Space Invaders. Who knew that this was a thing? Anyway, this is probably one of the most boring out of all of them. Like, it's not hilariously broken, like the Pac-Man one. The physics aren't broken like Brick Breaker, and there's no excitement from racing. I'm not gonna lie, for most of my playthrough, I just stayed in the same place and held the spacebar. That's all I did. Eventually, I realized I did actually have to move when they finally started shooting back, but yeah, not great. It's just a really poor version of Space Invaders, which I'm sure at some point during the era of Flash games you probably could have just played online anyway. Okay, so next up we have a very simply titled Hot Wheels Racing. And oh my god, I'm sorry, is that unlockable cars? And quite a lot of unlockable cars as well? Well, I'll be damned. However, there is a warning on the Flash player that the game is missing some assets for in-game cars. I'm sure that won't be a problem later on. Anyway, let's do some racing, and it's literally just the JPEG of the cars going along the track. That's it. You've just got to go down the same track with each car that you unlock. And I kept doing this for about 5 minutes, unlocked most of the cars in the game, got to Twin Mill and thought, oh hell yeah, Twin Mill, iconic, and then the image didn't load, so I was just going along the track. I still won, I just couldn't see the car. Although, obviously that wouldn't have happened in the original game, so I won't hold it against it, but either way, this is still just Hot Wheels car JPEGs going along a track, and you unlock more Hot Wheels car JPEGs. There's not really anything exciting here. It's kind of cool, I guess, that you can unlock cars, but they could have at least done it like top down or something, but instead it's just like the stock image that they probably put on the packaging. Okay, so for the final game we're going to be looking at today, we are playing Hot Wheels Track Builder. This is another absolute classic where, of course, you just build tracks. But any modern Hot Wheels game with a track builder is an absolute banger in my books. Just look at Hot Wheels Unleashed, that was great. So this takes that and just simplifies it for a Flash game. It's got boosts, loops, pipes, turns, jumps. It's got the whole shebang, and it looks pretty cool. It's a very low-key kind of design in terms of its visuals with a grid layout, but I think it's very, very, very fitting. You can choose from a few cars, but to be honest, once they actually get going on the track, you can barely tell the difference between any of them anyway. And there is actually a scoring system, so the more ridiculous things you can put in your track, the higher the score you get. I feel like I definitely touched this one when I was a kid, but I don't remember it too much, but I feel like it's something I would have spent hours and hours and hours on. Because I spent a lot of time playing Roller Coaster Tycoon 2 back in the day, just making the most obnoxious death trap roller coasters of all time, so this feels like it'd be right up my street. Anyway, that takes us to the end of our look at just some of the Hot Wheels Flash games. If you want to see a part 2, then let me know by liking and commenting down below. Thank you very much for watching, and if you did enjoy this video, please leave a like, and if you haven't done so already, subscribe and tap the bell for notifications. A massive shout out to my Patreon subscribers for the continued support, and all I really have left to say is thank you and goodbye.